Going back to risk and just being able to reduce the risk. So there's going to be a lot of challenges in trying to get everything done. Like you said, there's just a lot. So one of the things definitely you talked about data ownership and being fragmented and siloed systems. So yeah, this is where you want to think about that data hierarchy. Maybe you have a data owner, but then you have system owners underneath the data owner. Maybe those folks are also the application owner and own the vendor. So that's a common pitfall, is like making sure you have your owners and then you're holding them accountable. Another thing that I've seen with this is employee turnover too. So be aware if a system owner, leaves, and you've got to fill that in, and then you've also got to train. So that's definitely a common pitfall I see, is where those making sure you have that accountability, and that those owners know that they own the system, they're trained. And so that's definitely one of the things I see. Another thing is, oh gosh, yeah, keeping the inventory up in dynamic environments, that is a struggle. So I really would say for this one is to always be in contact with those system owners, whether that's through a ticketing system, using a third party tool to really be able to reach out and get the most up-to-date information. Because one thing that can happen is you're using a system for one thing, but then it gets used for something else. And you need to be aware of that. Maybe new data types are coming in. Maybe the system was only for public information, but now we're bringing in restricted info or something sensitive. So this is why it's so important to keep that inventory updated. So try to come up with something that's automated, that is going to help you with that, and ask those questions and be in contact with those system owners.
Yeah, and our audience has a good question just kind of on that vein of how do you track where all the personal information is if there's no good data management in place? It's not being tagged or whatever, how do you keep a track of that?
Ooh, yeah. You need to have some kind of system. If you don't have a third party tool, you could certainly use some other track, if you have office tools or something. You have to be able to have an owner of the system and someone who's used, let's say as an example, using a vendor heavily. You want to ask them the questions. This is something that I do, is like, hey, what kind of data is going into this system? And get that information from that system owner, someone who's using the product a lot, and like they can tell you, oh, or even sometimes you have to do a screen share. This is the data that's coming in. Oh, I see personal data. And then you kind of use it as a teaching opportunity or teaching moment, where you have to teach everyone at the company and tell them this is what personal data is. Because I think that's also an issue and a pitfall, is not everyone knows what personal data is. It's anything that can identify an individual. So that's, yeah, so hopefully that's helpful, just being able to have the discussion with folks and asking if personal data is being processed, and even having to define it for that person as well.
You mentioned having a tool. I would say, yes, just having a way that it's automated, that, yeah, tools definitely, like a third party tool that just goes through all your systems and just really helps identify what personal data is held and in which systems, but then also not forgetting the unstructured data. That is definitely, the common pitfall that you mentioned, Amanda, and just, there is often a manual element as well of just, going through, just having, a regular maybe brainstorming or just reflecting on those other systems, like, your emails or your Slack channels or your Microsoft Teams communications, and, personal data that might be held in these other systems that tend to get overlooked, and just having also a bit of, yeah, manual kind of human input into the inventory as well.